Okay, my friends, hello, this is Gosia. Welcome to this mini topics video. Mini topics which have been accumulating for some time now. We will cover different variety of these mini topics, such as it's going to be my experience with Yazhi here regarding telepathic inserts and telepathic communication with her and interaction. Then something briefly about the Vietnam creatures, those creatures that the soldiers saw. Then a short mentioning about the names, stellar names versus Earth names. A small little story about the crop circles. And then some other little things, small questions. Silicon base. Are we going to transform into the silicon base body? How is the CIA that we know is infiltrating the New Age and UFO movements? How are they recruiting really? And the question someone had: why doesn't the Federation include humans in meetings? And then also someone had a question about the 2012, how they supposedly stopped the world annihilation and why they are not stopping it now. Some short comments about the floodings happening in Europe, and it happened already. I know this is a bit delayed, but that's how it is. And a little comment about sun, also a little bit delayed. Some supposed strange action happening on the sun. So let's start this. There are a lot of things to go through, so let's not waste time. First, before I go into the topics, I would like to mention that in September, now I do not remember exactly the dates, I think around 19th of September, 3 days, there's going to be a conference here in Finland, a small local regional conference, UFO conference with different speakers, and we will be there, myself and Robert, and Matthias will also be there, but not speaking, probably helping me to translate. Well, not helping me, just translating himself. So if you are in the area and you are interested to join us, it's going to be at the lake, nice setting, so you can see us there. Okay, well, let's start with the first short topic. I already published this in my community some time ago, but I want to mention it again, just in case some of you do not read all these community posts. Here, Swaruu 10, Athena, is warning us against taking all these papayas, what's that called? Surveys that sometimes they call you or you see them on Facebook or somewhere. She's saying do not take part in those surveys because official government agencies and some other strange institutions are conveying and conducting those surveys in order to profile people by their opinions and put them into a database that later they will use to see what more restrictions and official regulations to impose on which sectors of the population, cities or countries. They will also use it to profile each individual person, then formulate a plan to force them to get papayat. So it is recommended not to answer these surveys, not to give any personal data. I actually took it myself once because I wanted to show them that people are not taking the papayas, but apparently, I didn't take this into consideration. This is a very good point. So please, as she here suggests, do not take part in those surveys. Now, a short comment and short story. Well, not really a story, but a recount of something that happened recently about a month ago or so. I don't have any direct, any conscious, so to speak, telepathic communication with Yazhi or with the Tagetans that I know of. Something that I can literally hear as not coming from myself. But about a month ago, even though I have to say Yazhi always says that she does infuse me with the ideas, with the understandings, it's just that it seems to me like it's mine. But this is exactly what happened here. 1 month ago I had a little bit of dilemma about a certain subject, about a certain situation, and I needed some advice. I didn't know how to proceed, so I asked her, what do you think, Yazhi, how should I proceed? I was a bit anxious to know what I should do in that situation. And well, she advised me And I continued to feel a little bit confused, and actually I was almost going to take a route B as a solution to that situation. But suddenly, one evening, I was relaxed, laying down, I think it was just before going to sleep, I suddenly, and I meant it was so sudden, like a switch of a light bulb, I felt clear understanding toward the situation. I had a clear approach within myself how I should feel or how I should attend to the situation. I just knew. It was such a deep inner knowing, but it really felt to me like it was coming from some kind of larger field of myself, to the point that I actually decided, yes, this is coming from Yazhi. It is her. It is her understanding. I felt it like an insert into my field, but it fused with mine so much that I adopted it as mine. It was my understanding at this point. So I asked her the next day, did she have anything to do with that? And actually, she admitted that yes, that normally she doesn't use her telepathic powers so much to influence us in this way or another. She tries to give us space and our own independence of action, of course. But in this situation, she admitted she did do that. She inserted the clarity toward the situation. And I asked her, what's the process? Because it was very curious to me to know how it is done. So here she is responding, the process is very simple. All I need to do is think of you, and think of you having the feeling of the information that I want to insert, and then holding that feeling, have the intention of you understanding all this. From your end, they are your own thoughts, and they are. So she's focusing on me, and focusing on me understanding this approach to the situation. So she's fusing with me, understanding it. I asked, how long did it take for you to do that? And she says, just a few minutes, my time. And now here, and this is the main reason why I'm mentioning this actually, the problem is that being there on Earth in the so-called 3D, you are exposed to this kind of insertions all the time, and other worse ones, and mainly because you are not aware of them. So people here are not aware of this happening all the time, and they are very vulnerable to be receiving these inserts and telepathic injections from other people who are also sending them sometimes unknowingly, coming from your neighbors, from your partners, their thoughts, their negative ideas. You are absorbing all this all the time. So here she's saying many thoughts are not from the person at hand. They are shared with who is near. Emotions, for example, you pick up emotions all the time from other people, such as anger, fear, revenge, states of mind, may not be the subjects, but the neighbors, or more commonly, belonging to the community and to the human collective unconscious. Because we are swimming here in this collective unconscious soup of the humans, and we are picking it all up. Now the question is, and this is the solution, to be picking up rather positive influences and telepathic inserts that are negative. The key is in this. She continues to say, the question is, to which kind of interference will you be compatible with? So again, this all boils down to the compatibility of frequency. Because yes, as I say here, in the end, it matters what vibes you are a match to yourself, what your own frequency picks up by the nature of its own range. And she says, of course. So again, the law of mirror. That's why your frequency of thought and mental state is so important, because even then, depending on that, you will be a match to this or that telepathic inserts coming from other sources and from our own collective human unconscious. So it is important to guard your frequency and guard your thoughts, but do not deny yourself a sadness if you feel it at the same time. So this is very interesting, and this topic actually started off Matthias's conversation with Yazhi. I was there present too, about how to protect yourself against all these different negative influences. Because I was telling Matthias about this, and he was expressing his worry a little bit about this, because he works in a mental hospital where there are a lot of patients with serious cases of psychosis. So he was asking, well, what about those people? Are they also telepathically inserting, thoughts and ideas, emotions into my field? And well, she says, yes, definitely. So it's important to know how to protect yourself. So this video will be coming up as well sometime very soon. Okay, my friends, the next topic is about Vietnam creatures that soldiers could see. And that is definitely true. I do not know if Robert has any specific video just on those creatures. I think he made a video on Yeti creatures, Bigfoot, etc. But these beings are definitely real, and those soldiers did see them. There are a lot of reports of that. And here she's saying, as happened many times in Vietnam, those elite soldiers of special forces report confronting beings of extraterrestrial appearance, Yao Tia, who have weapons and advanced technological devices. And she's explaining here they are proto-reptilians, interstellar. Proto-reptilians, interstellar. And Robert here is saying, what were they doing on Venus? And she says, well, the same as on Earth. Seeing what they can loot when there is conflict. So Robert is asking, they only appear when there are conflicts? Yazhi responds, they show up when it suits them. Robert says, for being interstellar, they look pretty primitive. They have a primitive look. And Yazhi says, well, that is misleading. Urma, for example, themselves appear to be stuck in Greco-Roman times, mainly for their wardrobe, for their appearance, for their attires, very, very dramatic and very royal, armor and all that. So they appear to be stuck also in Greco-Roman times, but they couldn't be more technologically advanced, because what appears to be primitive is only a human interpretation with human data, and does not correspond to the level of technological and cultural development of the beings. And here Robert is commenting, but to be interstellar, because they are interstellar, you have to know how to treat other cultures. And those seem to be very opportunistic. Well, Yazhi responds, space, as I told you many times, is not a place of love and light. It has its own nightmares. All of them manifested by empathic beings for not knowing how to handle their fears and their powers. So as we said, that our nightmares here on Earth are the result of the manifestation of our fears, etc., coming out from the unconscious of the humanity. Is the same out there. She is acknowledging that those creatures and those types of negative, so to speak, circumstances are also coming out and are manifested by the empathic beings for not knowing how to handle their fears and their powers. Okay, well, that's all I have about these creatures. They are definitely real. It happened. Now, we're gonna shoot from one topic to another. The next topic is names. That's gonna be very brief. For your curiosity, just to let you know, Yazhi's original name actually is not Yazhi. She got this name when she got here into this timeline, when she arrived in 2019. But actually, the original name given to her by her mother, Swaruu 11, was Sophia Swaruu. It's just that now everybody calls her Yazhi, even her Tagetan friends call her Yazhi, but just wanted you to know that her real name is Sophia. And her mother, Swaruu 11, her real name is Minerva. So it's Athena Swaruu 10, her daughter Minerva, and then Sophia. And you might be surprised that some of these names sound like the names found on Earth. But apparently here, what she is explaining to us is reverse. These names are stellar, and these names have stellar origin and roots, and have been introduced here many times onto Earth. Because, as we made a video about the cultural importation, export, import of different parts of culture, so is the case with the names. So here she's explaining a long list of seemingly human names originate outside of Earth, especially the names assigned to deities for their connection to the extraterrestrials on Earth. They are not human names. People have it backwards. They are stellar names because there are more human-looking people outside of Earth. Athena is said to be equivalent to Minerva, but it is rather that Minerva is the daughter of Athena. So this is quite interesting as well. Now, the next topic is about crop circles, and many people do ask about the crop circles. We already made a video about that some time ago somewhere, what they mean. But I want to talk briefly about one specific meaning of crop circles, and that is crop circles serving as markers for the extraterrestrials, especially when they time travel and they want to make sure they are back in the same timeline where they left off. And I'm talking about this on a real life example and a real life situation that we had with Athena Swaruu some time ago, a few months ago, where she was time traveling, and she was telling me just before she was leaving, she said, well, Gosia, I'm leaving, but I'm gonna perform different procedures to make sure that, because sometimes it does happen that you get lost time jumping through the timelines. So she said, I'm going to make different procedures to make sure it doesn't happen. One of those markers, so-called markers, is going to be a crop circle that I will leave in England. So she was going to leave a small crop circle somewhere, and that's going to be her marker. Then when she comes back and she sees the same crop circle, that's going to be an indication she is back in the same timeline. And also another marker was actually our conversation. So she talked to me on that night just before leaving to make sure I remember her leaving. So that's also one of the markers. So that's what they do when they time skip and time jump. They are quite skilled at doing that, Svarus. But even then, especially when you do a lot of these maneuvers for whatever reason, sometimes you can get lost. So they are leaving all these markers. And these two markers that I mentioned, crop circles and talking to me, that's just two of other methods that they use. Well, I thought that was curious to share with you. Now, someone some time ago asked me this question because as we have explained, the Federation has the blockade around the Earth, and they are controlling who is coming in, who is coming out. You need to give a route plan, just like any Earth plane has to give a route, a flight plan. So the same for those other ships that are coming in, coming out. So there is this blockade. But someone has asked, well, I have a source, that was a question from that person. I have a source who says that Earth's military has a defensive perimeter around Earth, and that no ETs can enter without being sanctioned. So this person is suggesting that it is the Earth's military who has that defensive perimeter around Earth, thanks to which no ET, especially negative, not authorized ET, can enter without being sanctioned. But Yazhi explains, yes, it is true, but what that source probably did not say or did not know is that Federation extraterrestrials are working to enforce that. It is not just Earth's military. It is the Federation itself It is the famous blockade. Alphatans, Centauri, and Antarians are enforcing that. And yes, some ships can go through, but they need to give them a flight plan as any regular aircraft would. Even drones, as she explains, need a flight plan. And if they are seen, according to the Federation protocols, they can only be seen casually. It cannot be some kind of a special set up drone presentation. That's officially against the Federation rules. So even drones need a flight plan, and if seen, can only be seen randomly, casually by people, and of course they are being seen everywhere. So Earth's military are way up in the know and are the contact point with the Federation itself. So it is the Federation who is doing this blockade, not just human military. As I have explained many times before, where humans end and extraterrestrials begin is a dubious, shady barrier, not a defined one. Well, this next question is from someone about the satellites that can be seen in the sky. He's asking, are they satellites or ET crafts going back and forth? And the response is, it is a mixture of both. But the ones that are clearly seen from the surface moving with a clear purpose or movement vector are Federation starships in several orbital altitudes. Of course, NASA will tell the humans that they are all satellites, and yes, some are. And yes, there is a very large amount of space junk and debris out there as well, especially in low Earth orbit. Okay, next one. Now here, Robert was asking a question from his audience about, this silicon-based body, because there's this idea that runs through the spiritual community that, as we are ascending, we are transforming our body into the silicon-based bodies, and that's basically not true. So here Robert is asking, what does it mean, silicon-based? Athena is responding, it means the raw material or the dominant element in the composition of the body. Silicon, pure rock, sand, mineral. So Robert asks, so that's better than carbon? Athena says, no, just different. For example, the lurkers, these very dangerous space creatures, lurkers is silicon-based. We are carbon-based, Lyrian-based, just like you. So no, we're not going to transform into the silicon-based when we go into the 5D mindset. Robert says, if humanity ascends, as an example, to 5D, although we already know that it is a mental state, that is not going to transform us from carbon to silicon, right? That is absurd. Races do not evolve by changing their base from carbon to silicon, right? She says, yes. I know that's what they are saying out there. It's true, that's what they say, that the people are going to change. That is rubbish. Robert, silicon sounds like transhumanism. I think it is based off the PC boards. And Athena says, yes. There you can see that that idea comes from the Cabal. This is why we say that basically all UFO organizations are controlled by the CIA. And now on the topic of the CIA, after we made this video about the Federation and CIA and how it infiltrates the New Age community and the UFO community, there was some information here given by Athena, I think, about how the CIA recruit people. Robert asked this question, but it was too late for me to include this in the video. So I left it for this mini topic here. So the response is this. The CIA, like any other intelligence organization, recruits people according to their profiles and according to the work they will carry out. For example, that they have a history of being patriots, or that they have always been loyal to certain ideas and concepts. The CIA is infiltrated in every movement or trend. They have specialized people who for decades in the case of New Age spirituality and ufology, are controlling where information should go, what should be given to the people, and what should be removed or eliminated, all under the parameters of the interests of the Illuminati Jesuits. The CIA does not work for the US military. It only coordinates with them when it suits them because it also controls them. The CIA is the undercover control, espionage, and counterintelligence arm at the service of the Illuminati Jesuits, who use their institutions or companies such as pharmaceuticals, defense, advertising, and mass media, and even shoe manufacturing, Nike with the rings of Saturn, and toys such as Mattel with its MK Ultra symbols on toys, especially for girls. The claim that the CIA sees for national security is only excuse or front. The institution controlled by the CIA that does watch for US national security is the NSA. So what the CIA will do to infiltrate the spiritual movements and trends in the New Age or ufology is to put its personnel as people of respect within those groups and give them the support they require by removing from their way those who attack or contradict them, making them respectable. Then, already in those positions of power, they form apparent alliances between their own colleagues. And from there, they discredit people who say information that contradicts what their Illuminati Jesuit bosses are interested in coming out to the public. Associations will be formed with enthusiasts who like these topics and who will investigate or base their opinions now on what is socially accepted within those groups controlled by the CIA. So the vast majority of ufologists and enthusiasts and even genuine New Age people, or those who have YouTube channels talking about UFO and spiritual issues, end up working for the CIA and the Illuminati without knowing it. That is, they do not have direct contact with anyone from the CIA. They simply follow what is imposed by the great representatives of the New Age spirituality and ufology themes. This is the case for virtually all small researchers. Thank you very much for this information. I think it's quite clear and understandable. We covered this in the video about the CIA, so I'm not going to add more to this from myself. That's just facts, and that's the way it is. Now, the next question, talking about the Federation, as it is related as well. The question was, why doesn't the Federation allow humans in their reunions, in their meetings, in their council decisions? Humans from Earth. Well, there are two sides, two parts to this answer. The first one is the Federation, according to the Federation, does not see the need to contact humans since they are already above, together with them in their 5D versions, to call it somehow. And they are forgetting the experience while they are humans living on 3D Earth as humans, in favor of those of the opinions of those who manage humanity from outside using biosuits. And we talked about this, how the Federation values more those so-called 5D people who are managing the 3D biosuits, and they are not acknowledging so much what the biosuits themselves want. Humans do not participate in Federation meetings, as so many ufologists say, because humans are not the head here, nor do they control themselves. The Federation talks to those who control humanity, not humanity. Now, this is from the Federation perspective. We are not justifying them here by saying this. This is just an explanation of how they think. So the Federation talks to those who control humanity, not humanity itself. They won't go talk to the mind-controlled humans if they can go directly to the ones who are truly in control. When you have a problem with the neighbors, you are not going to talk to the 5-year-old who is there visible in front of the house playing with their cars. You ask to speak to the adults. The child will only be told what he needs to know, if he has to know, and at the right level for that child's mental development. They would not speak to politicians directly either, but to those who control those politicians. And that is high ranks of Illuminatis. That is the thinking of the Federation. That is the thinking of the Federation. And now there is another angle to this, something that makes it very loopy here and trippy. On the one hand, in the sense that, okay, the humans are children who only obey what their parents order them. So that's on the one hand, yes. But from a more expanded perspective, as Yazhi is always explaining, humans are what controls even the Federation, the mass, the human mass, but it has to be a human collective. That is ultimately what controls the Federation, and that is ultimately what the Federation would be responding to and is responding to. So even if the Illuminati's controllers and Cabal would be wanting something, if we as a collective, rise up against that and say no, then the Federation will have to respect that. And that's what we are trying to do. We're trying to have people act and be proactive and rise up and resist what's happening right now in the world. Say no. So again, on the one hand, they see humans as children, and that's why they go talking to the controllers on top. But on the other hand, the collective is what governs the situations here ultimately. So from the point of view of the Federation, also it could be said that they do not really see them as children, rather they trust what the little human beings are doing to themselves, those broken shoes, as the Swaruu calls them. They trust what these souls are doing. That's the law. That's the free will law here at action as well. They're trusting what us as souls are doing here, and that's why ultimately they respect even our decisions to play atrocities here. So it's a bit complicated here, and I'm saying this here. What a complicated system. On the one hand, thinking that we are children and that they have to talk to those above with the true power. And on the other hand, the Federation also believes that we here have the power and the free will, and that we know what we are doing and want. And that is why they let us play. That is why they let us play whatever here on Earth. And here the response is, yes, it is complicated, but I see it as a circle. From one point of the circle, humans have no control and the Federation and governments do. From the other side, things are reversed, where the people have all the control and the Federation and governments do not, being created by the same people in the first place. So yes, it seems like it's a contradiction of these two perspectives, but depending from what point in the circle you are looking at it, and then it stops being a contradiction. It just depends on the point in the circle you are viewing this from. So that's the part of the conversation I wanted to share. And here, related a little bit with this topic, is the question that someone asked, and the question is this. I have a question for you and Gosia. This question was sent to Matthias. Swaruu has said that the Taigetans stopped an extinction level event on Earth in 2012. Why can't the Taigetan Pleiadians or the Andromedans or any other ET race stop what is going on right now if they already stopped it, an extinction level event in 2012? So the difference in this situation here is that situation back then, it was most probably the nuclear threat. And there is a big difference with nuclear threats endangering the whole life on Earth, its biology, ecosystems affecting other densities, than what's happening right now. And here, this question was referring to something Swaruu said in one of the first videos, and what she said exactly is this. The Cabal was preparing the calling of the people, a mass killing. It was related to the end times of 2012. We stopped that. Agenda 21 to be exact. It was to start in high gear in 2012. It's slowed down now, but not off yet, unfortunately. But again, as she explained, this was referring to nuclear threats. So Matthias here is asking, as he was participating in this conversation with Yazhi, he says, so the Federation, it seems, does not allow nuclear wars, but any other way of killing off the population is okay. And she says, yes, that I can vouch for, that they do not allow nuclear threats, and missiles are being stopped all over the place. She's saying there is even a photo of Kila, the Tigeton pilot, chasing a rocket, and Hashmalim. A nuke almost detonated in the coast of North Carolina 3 or 4 years ago. Many threats that may have led to nuclear war planned by the Cabal, it was planned. It was stopped. But that's why now they resorted to papayas and what's happening right now, because the Federation did not agree with the nuking method. That will be the only thing they do not agree to and will always step in. Why is nuclear threat not allowed? And the deaths as they are happening and will be happening now, yes. Because the nuclear threats are scalar, affecting several timelines, not only one. Because what's happening now, papayas can be stopped with consciousness, knowing it's all a lie. What's happening now, papayas do not affect the environment, but a nuke destroys everything. So objectively, papayas in all the situation now would rid the earth from humans, leaving it to bloom. Wildlife would blossom, but nukes would destroy everything, so they are a big no-no to the Federation. So that's the difference here. Continue with the topic of causing havoc and conflicts and all that. The question was about the floods in Europe some time ago, so I asked if they knew anything about it, and the answer was yes, they are definitely artificial. And I said, why are they produced? Why? And the answer was, we can only speculate, but we feel that it has to do with further breaking down the spirit of the population of Europe. And you said definitely artificial. Why definitely? How do you get to know for sure? And this is an interesting answer. I didn't know that. Because what we can see are airplanes seeding chemicals that modify the characteristics of clouds to create rain, and also the use of HARP technology, both. That is easy to detect. But for what? We can only speculate. I ask, how do you know that they seed whatever modifies the clouds? I just want to know how exactly this comes to be known. And she says, because we know the chemicals and their effects, and for decades. You can see what components chemtrails have using a spectrometer. This is the same spectrometer that they use sometimes to read your frequency, to sometimes try to determine, because it is not certain, it is not 100%, that they try to use to determine what place you are from, your star origin, but it is not really credible with soul reading, with frequency reading. But apparently it is very credible with reading clouds and chemical components in them. So here she's saying, yes, you can see what components chemtrails have using a spectrometer. There, yes, it is exact, not as in a soul reading. To know chemical components, the spectrometer is very good. Drones are also used to enter chemtrails, but with the spectrometer it is enough to know what components they have. So that's what was discovered. That it was artificial. And talking about other phenomena, and people talking about phenomena, and this is the last subject I have. I'm going through those subjects pretty fast. This is about the sun, and it was actually in one of the videos in Spanish, well, in one of the channels, not ours, in Spanish, that person was talking about this phenomenon on the sun. There is something happening there during the solstice around May. I think it was around May that was found. I don't remember. There's some kind of anomaly or some kind of a shade, some kind of a bubble there. And here Athena is saying that, more than a year ago, we already explained that the solar portals open around the summer solstice in the northern hemisphere. And it is a very common phenomena. Specifically, the exact day of the summer solstice, as indicated on the Puerta del Sol in Tijuanaco. And here she's a little bit frustrated because she said, we have already explained that, and people are still saying that there is some strange anomalies and whatever, and they're trying to read too much into it. And she's saying, the Earth and the Sun, as with all other stars, are connected to each other with complex but predictable frequency harmonics that can be observed as geometry. The Earth and the Sun are energetically connected, and that is mathematically base 12. What some people describe is a routine that thousands of spaceships use every year. So that solar portal opens, something opens there, and it is used to travel for other spaceships, and it is very, very common. So it's a routine that thousands of spaceships use every year. And as has already been explained to you, that black bubble that you are observing there is not the ship. It is the magnetic anomaly produced by the energetic torus that surrounds a large spacecraft. An electromagnetic disturbance of that size is produced by a tiny spacecraft compared to the size of the visible bubble. Still, the type of ship that passed through the solar portal and caused the anomaly was large. And she's telling us exactly what ship passed. It was an Arcturian biosphere ship, members of the Sphere Alliance. An Arcturian biosphere ship entered this solar system only days ago. That was given a few months ago. Entered the solar system only days ago, as it is indicated to us in the navigation computers of our spaceships. They are ship entrances and exits on a routine basis, nothing special. They go in and out all the time. There is a lot of movement here always. So Robert says, so that phenomenon of the sun is not so strange, it is something cyclic. She says it is cyclical, normal, boring, predictable, even to plan a space trip and use it. And the ancients knew it. The ancients from Ireland, Great Britain, Druids, shamans of North America, Egypt, Mesopotamia, Mesoamerica to South America to Patagonia, ancient China, the list is long. And people saying that this is new, no, it is not. And you published it last year or before that. So this is all I have for you. I have no more comments from myself. I hope the topics themselves were enough as interesting facts and interesting data. Thank you very much. I know that there's always millions of questions, and every answer produces even more questions all the time. I am trying to sometimes pick some questions and answer them with the girls. But the thing is that there's always so much happening, and there's always so much behind the scenes that is happening that we can't just like sit there and just give them questions, you know. And everybody always has questions, and everybody I speak to, and I don't speak to many people, but sometimes I do, and everybody, can you ask this? And if you have a chance, ask this. Sometimes I write it down, I try to remember, but there's just so many questions always from you all the time. So be patient and try to understand that this is not possible to answer them all. And also, like I said, there's always something happening behind the scenes, you know, on a personal level of stuff. So we cannot just turn the conversation into question answers all the time with them. Like, we cannot be that interested, you know, just to get the information out of them. We are also their friends, and we share their lives, and we talk about what's happening, and that takes up a lot of space in our conversations as well. So you have to understand that. Still a lot of videos to come though. Someone is asking if I'm taking a break from a solar system. No, that's my idea actually, to make one video and then some others. I'm not going to publish it all in a row. No, I'm going to break it up. So that's that. I don't know what else. The next video will be, like I said, about the densities. Yazhi was talking about that again recently. Very, very cool explanation of that, why densities are a state of mind. And then, yes, of course, we'll continue with the solar system. I also have some information about Federation and Vatican connection. That's going to be very cool, very good information as well. And then I have those two conversations from Matthias and Yazhi, and many other things. I'll never finish this. I'll be here until the rest of my life, it seems. Well, thank you very much for watching. Off I go to edit the video so it can reach you very soon. And until the next time. Bye bye.